can be your own bank and take your time while you're learning it. Where you about to be is not where you reside currently. We gon' teach you how to compound it while you're earning it. It's that new type of money, that's a different type of currency. Hey, you can be your own bank and take your time while you're learning it. Where you about to be is not where you reside currently. We gon' teach you how to compound it while you're earning it. It's that new type of money, it's that new kingdom currency. Hey, first of all, let me tell you about the business. Mr. Jerry D. Rogers, he the one that had the vision. Educate and impact at least 2 million. Now it's 4 years later. What's up? Still on a mission. Yeah. How y'all doing? That thing be hitting. Mentally and financially. How many of y'all like being broke? Never mind, don't answer me. But if money nobody like being broke. We got the answer key. Enroll, learn, and profit. It's simple. Don't make it challenging. Shout out to Tasha Dyer for coming up with the strategy. What we talking about today? Focus is something you have to be. It ain't no better feeling than setting your own salary. Hey, you can be your own bank and take your time while you're learning it. Where you got to be is not where you reside currently. We gon' teach you how to compound it while you're earning it. It's that new type of money. That's a different type of currency. Hey, you can be your own bank and take your time while you're learning it. Where you got to be is not where you reside currently. We gon' teach you how to compound it while you're earning it. It's that new type of money. It's that new. Hopefully by now you understand, but if you don't, we got you. Up in your mind, you ain't gonna let that stop you. We gon' break that thing down. I'm gonna have to start over again on y'all. There we go. I don't know. Wow, Facebook acting up. It don't let me just come in rocking it. We gonna talk today about them bank accounts. We gonna see if you're gonna be real. Let me know, did your bank account got ED? Hey, how many of y'all like being broke? If money is your problem, we got the answer key. Hey, getting some folks in here. How y'all doing today? How y'all doing? This is your boy, Coach Green of Talking Green with Green. Where sometimes we talk about your money, sometimes we talk about your mind, but we're going to always talk about the master because I believe the Lord wants you to be prosperous. The God wants you to be successful. God wants you to be able to sow seeds. He wants you to be able to reap. He wants you to be able to have that harvest come to fruition. He wants you to be able to put yourself in a situation where you can help and bless others. And one of the ways that people always are trying to do that is through their finances, right? And so we're going to talk today about, does your bank account have ED? Does your bank account have ED? And y'all know what I mean. The bank account, is it a little limp, right? Is it a little limp? And why is that, right? I like to say this subject matter, talking about finances, is almost like talking about ED at a barbershop, right? This subject matter is like talking about ED in a barbershop. In a barbershop, you'll never hear this conversation, right? Because everybody is always talking about how great things are, how good things are. So the same way people typically don't address and don't talk about their financial situation. But one of the things we need to know is that the reason why people are in stress or financial distress is because there's some things that's set up to put you in that situation that you don't even know about. So we need to understand how we got there first, and then we can move to how to get out of it, right? And one of the things that we need to understand, we're going to talk a little bit about linear income, a little bit about residual income, and then, of course, eventually about passive income. Because how you make your money is what starts the cycle, and then eventually what you need to do with your money is what gets you out of the cycle. So you got to understand how you got in the situation and then how to get out of it. And it seems like it's simple, but I like to just come in and talk about it, say it over and over and over again. So sometimes when you hear it, you're like, oh, it's not me. It wasn't me paying,
too much for the Netflix subscription, or it wasn't me, buying this extra pair of shoes, or it wasn't those things, right? Now, those are unexpected expenses that unexpected expenditures that you need to get a handle on, but that's not what typically gets you in trouble in the first place. So the first thing that gets most people in trouble is that we make our money in a linear income space. So let's talk about linear income. Linear income, first and foremost, is being able to work a certain amount of time and trading that time for dollars, right? It's what almost everybody in America does. Almost 90% of Americans make their money in a linear income space. They trade time for money. So no matter how much money you make, you're always limited by how much time you have. That's really what it boils down to. So if you work 40 hours, get paid 40 hours, work 20 hours, get paid 20 hours, whatever that magic number is, eventually, when you run out of time, when you no longer have the time to work, you no longer get paid. That's the problem with linear income, is that eventually, once you aren't able to trade time for money, you typically have your income fall off. So that's number one, right? The second thing we need to understand is we need to eventually build up some residual income. Do something one time and get paid for it over and over and over again. Put yourself in a situation where you can create some leverage, the same way that people that respect, maybe look up to, admire, whatever the case may be, they make money because they are leveraging themselves. It used to be a time when we used to use the word Michael Jackson made a record. Nowadays they have digital products, but so-and-so made a record, or Prince made a record, or this person made a record this many years ago, and they getting paid for it, or their estate is getting paid for it over and over and over again. Denzel made a movie, and Angela Bassett made a movie, and they made that movie one time, but they get paid for it over and over and over again. That's residual income, but that's also leverage involved in there, because it's not the fact that they made the money and getting paid for it over and over again. That's not the only thing. The other thing is that a lot of people saw it. A lot of people see it. So they have created some leverage, and that's number two thing you need to do is, one, have some get out of the linear income space, get into the residual income space, but you got to create some leverage. J. Paul Getty said, I'd rather have 1% of 100 people's efforts than 100% of my own. So a lot of people are really big on, I can do it myself. If it is to be, it's up to me. If it is to be, it's up to me. But I'm telling you right now, if you were going to move furniture at your house and you had 10 of your friends, I'm in a fraternity. If I had 10 of my frat brothers sitting outside and I'm inside trying to move the furniture by myself, I don't have any leverage. But if I ask my frat brothers to come inside and say, hey, can you help me pick up this couch? Help me pick up this chair. Help me pick up this, move the piano, the television, whatever the case may be. I'm creating leverage for myself, which means I'm making the job easier. So people who have residual income, they do something one time and get paid for it over and over again, but they also create leverage because either through movie ticket sales, either through record sales, or now downloads, whatever the case may be, people are now able to have a lot of people paying a little bit to impact their income. A lot of people pay a little bit to impact their income. You have to ask yourself the question, who's impacting your income outside of you? See, if you're the only person responsible for your income, you're one situation away from being, as my mother used to say, ASS out, straight, right? Straight up out of gas, SOL, that we used to say. You're in a bad situation. And that's actually one of the things that people noticed during the pandemic, is that now that I can no longer go to work, now that I no longer can do what it is I do, especially if it involved being around people, their income became limited. And that you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're the only person responsible for your income. So you want to create some residual income. You want to create some leverage. And then last but not least is passive income. You want to put yourself in a situation where eventually the thing that's supposed to work to make money is working to make money, and that's money. Money is meant to multiply. The problem is most of us know money. We use money as a tool to pay somebody else, to pay for a good or service. So we're always giving it away. We make it on Friday. We give it away on Friday night, all day Saturday, a little bit of it, 10% of it Sunday. And by Monday, we out of gas with that paycheck that we made on Friday. So a lot of people, they say 78% of the population is living paycheck to paycheck. 78% of the population is living paycheck to paycheck, but I like to say 78% of the population is living paycheck to Monday. Most people are paid on Monday, paid on Friday, excuse me, and by Monday, that check is halfway gone. They literally are trying to survive for the next 10 days or so to get to that next paycheck. That's a bad cycle to be on. So I like to use the term, we used to say in the space I was in, that there's some people who are literally broke and figuratively broke. A person that is literally broke is on the side of the road saying, we'll work for food. A person that is figuratively broke, they're about 1 or 2 paychecks away or 1 or 2 missed paychecks away from being on the side of the road saying, we'll work for food. So that's the overarching deal that I want to talk about. And I told you guys every day at 12 o'clock, I'm going to come to you, kind of feed you a little bit as you're eating that lunch. Maybe as you drive into it, you can just kind of check in with Coach Green with Green, not because I'm perfect, not because I got it all together. These are things that I learned over my career and over my time as far as making money and not necessarily knowing how to grow the money at the time. Then now that I've learned this, now that I'm around mentors, now that I've been around people who've created a serious residual income, serious passive income, I want to be able to share with others, right? Because like I said, just like in a barbershop, when we don't talk about ED, a lot of people ain't talking about their finances because they got to look like they got it together. So number one is, do you make linear income? Are you always trading time for money? When you aren't working, are you making money? If the answer to that question is no, you're a linear income person. That's okay. You got to just know where you fit right now. 2, do you have any residual income? Is there something that you did one time and you get paid for it over and over and over again? And number 2, do you have any leverage? Are there some more people outside of you responsible for your income? And I'm not being funny. I'm not talking about a government assistance check. I'm not talking about I'm talking about, are there some people who are responsible? Do you have some people subscribing to something that you do, subscribing to something that you told them about that's paying you every single week, every single month on some type of ongoing basis? The same way we pay our Netflix bill, our cable bill, our cell phone bill. Is there somebody helping you pay your bills, right? And you can't say that you're against it because you are already involved in the residual income space. You're just contributing to it. So most of us are paying cell phone, cable bills, Netflix subscriptions. We're paying these things. It's just not happening for us. And then last but not least, of course, like I said, is passive income, doing something where your money works for you, even when you aren't working. Your money should be creating money babies. Okay. And so I always want to keep these things relatively short. So I'll probably go a little bit longer today because I want to get into what causes the problem, right? The number one thing that causes our financial problem is that because we make money in a linear income space, most people are W-2 employees and they lose a third of their income to the government because of how they make their money. So we got to go, we don't have to go from, but we got to add this on. You have to go from just being a W-2 employee to finding a way to becoming a business owner, because business owners pay less in taxes. See, think about what I'm saying. I'm going to give you a round number, whether you make this or maybe you make less, this or more. If you make $100,000 a year, that's what you bragged everybody you make, right? I'm a 6-figure income earner. I make $100,000 a year. You really only bring home right at about $79,000, $78,000 in a good year as a W-2 employee. So that means you're losing $21,000 in that example I gave you just because the government says, I need mine first. That's that FICA, that's them sales taxes, state sales taxes, the federal taxes. That's all that stuff, right? That's who's taking the first 1/3 of your income. So that's already bad, but let me put it in another perspective. That's a third of your income, about a third of your income. Would you start working at a job, or would you work at a job? I want to see y'all in the comments. Anybody who feel like commenting, cool. Would you work a job and they told you in January, we're not going to give you your first check until May? I don't think anybody would go for that. But that's typically what we do. The third of a year is January through April. 1/3 of the year is January through April. Well, that means that when I say you're working for the government for a third of the year, that's really what you're doing is your money that's supposed to come to you don't come to you until May 1st. So here's the second issue that we have. Because we lose the first 1/3 of our income to the government, the second thing that happens is we eventually start getting and accumulating debt because we're trying to make up for that $21,000 that we didn't bring home. Well, Marvin, I don't do that. I don't spend outside of my means. I'm pretty good with my finances. No, you're not. And this is what I mean by it. It really isn't you. The system is set up. You know why I know the system is set up this way? Because whenever you go to qualify for any loan that you get, they ask you, what is your gross income? They never ask you, what is your net income? I was literally somewhere today where a gentleman was doing a presentation. He talked about the banking structure, banking system, etc. He said, he admitted right there with the people there, which is not that he had to admit it, but it was admitted right there. Yep, we typically ask you, what's your gross income? So my point is, if somebody is saying you qualify for a house, you qualify for a car, you qualify for these credit cards that we're giving you, whatever the case may be, and you qualify because you make $100,000 a year that you don't bring home, you see what I'm saying? That's where that cycle starts getting a little bit, a little tough, a little janky. So now I lose the first 1/3 of my income to the government, and I'm having a problem with the second third of my income because I'm trying to pay back the money I borrowed to keep up with what I thought I was bringing home, but I wasn't. So now the last 1/3 of your income is what you're technically living off of, but you live in a lifestyle. You only really bringing home 1/3 of your income, but you live in a lifestyle as if you're bringing home all 3/3 of your income, the whole thing, and we don't. So what do we have to do? We have to get to a point where, first and foremost, we understand the power of being a business owner. And a business owner, I suggest, is being a home-based business owner. That's number one. Find a home-based business that allows you to start cutting back on the taxes that's being taken out of your paycheck. And the reason that's important is because as a home-based business owner, there's about 475 deductions that you get, things that you're doing every single day that you can write off having a home-based business. So would it just make sense that if you're going to spend on a cell phone bill, cable bill, utilities at the house, things like that, if you're going to spend on those things anyway, why not have those things become deductions instead of expenses, right? If you don't have a home-based business, you're throwing away about $600 a month. You might as well every single day when you leave your house, drive down the street, take a $20 bill and throw it out the window. Throw it out the window, throw it out the window. Linear income versus understanding having a home-based business, right? The second thing is you got to create some residual income. You got to have a way in which people are contributing to your income stream. More than one way of contributing to your income stream. It can't be the only way. So why not become an affiliate? Why not understand how to share information with others? And you don't even have to be the expert in it. You just can say, you know what? I got friends. I got family members. I got church members. You know what? And we all need this information. So the same way you do when Cash App first came out, Cash App used to tell you, if you send this link to a friend, you'll get $5 for promoting Cash App. If you got Uber, if you do the Uber thing and you send this link to a friend, when your friend do the Uber, you get $5, right? Used to be a time where DirecTV used to do a thing where if you told a friend about DirecTV, you get $10. My point is affiliate marketing that's been around forever. Having a good experience and sharing it with somebody else is something that we've been around forever. You know how I know? Because there's people who get on the internet every single day, say, hey, I'm coming to Tallahassee this week. What's a good place to eat? And it's always 50 to 75 people chiming in. Oh, if you want a steak, go here. If you want some fresh seafood, go here. If you want this, do this. Guess what? You're doing it anyway. We refer things all the time. Why not get paid to refer something? And what's one of the best things to refer instead as a better than a wealth community? A wealth community where we talk about wealth services, where we talk about how you can start creating your own, what we call your own financial narrative, where you can start dictating how you live life on your own terms instead of somebody else's terms. Wouldn't that just make sense? The same way I tell people, hey, I think I'm in the greatest fraternity in the world. Hey, blah, 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 blah. Now, granted, we don't technically recruit for the fraternity, but my whole point is I talk about my fraternity a lot. I talk about the institution where I got my college degree a lot. Why wouldn't I talk about a space that I know people are having trouble in? Why wouldn't I talk about an area that I know people don't get enough knowledge in on a consistent basis? Why wouldn't I do that? Because if I know that men I'm around might be dealing with an issue that I have addressed here, and we one-on-one sometimes and we can talk about it, right? Why wouldn't I do that when I know that 78% of the population living a paycheck to paycheck, right? 78% of the population lives paycheck to paycheck, right? 70% of people pay too much in taxes. 80% of the people have credit challenges. They have a problem with their credit. So these are things that I know that 8 out of 10 people that I'm around got a problem with. And 90% of the people are buried in debt. 78% of people live paycheck to paycheck. 78% of the people paycheck to paycheck. 70% of people pay too much in taxes. 80% of the people have a problem with their credit. And 90% of the people are buried in debt. You can't tell me something that 90% of people got a problem with, like finances. So why not share a medium that people can, guess what, get their finances in order? And here's the deal about it. You ain't got to tell me one thing about your personal situation in the process. We got experts to do that. We have a means that you can do that through our wealth community. And we call it BYOB. Connection.com. That's our community. That's like our Facebook community, BYOBconnection.com. That's where we have our wealth services housed in. You can kind of look, you can pick the same way you go to Amazon. You know, you check this out. Oh man, I got a problem with credit. Let me look at this, blah, blah, blah. Bam, you can get registered right there. You know, you want to learn. What I'm gonna get to next is what's called the passive income part. How are you allowing your money to make money for you? And one of the things I'm starting to learn that a lot of times people tend to think, I'm going to just go and get more education. So people value education, and we know we do, right? There's people who 12 years of school, and when they graduate from high school, mom and dad tells them, go and get another degree, or go get a degree, excuse me. You go to school, get good grades, you go to college and get a good job, right? Go to the military. That's an experience, right? This experience is going to make you valued in the workspace, or you're going to have a career that's going to last you for 20 or 30 years. That's why we didn't tell people to go to the military to fight nobody. Everybody want a family member to go to the military, but none of them want them to go to war. So you don't even tell people to go to the military for the reasons that you think. It's not as noble, really, as most people think. You're telling them that because that's supposed to be a secure place to get a career, to get a trade, to learn a skill set that you can now benefit from for the next 20 or 30 years. College. If everybody could get out of college right now, people lie all the time. Man, you got to go to school, go to school. I'm not knocking school. I worked at a university for 25 years. What I'm saying is if your child had the ability at the end of 12 years of school, high school, making $1 million on these NIL deals that some of these student athletes are getting, if your child had the ability to do that, if you were raising, what's my man name? Tevin Campbell with Child Prodigy, or I guess Beyonce, when she was technically a child prodigy, you wouldn't be telling nobody to go to school. You typically tell people to go to school because the education is going to put you in a space where you, guess what, are now employable. You now can make more money than if you didn't go. So what I'm telling you is, let's put education in the right space. Let's just be honest with ourselves. There's some people who want to be professors. They want to be teachers. They have a passion for teaching and helping others. But I'm saying there's a lot of people who are trying to do it so they can make themselves more marketable in the job space, in the market space. So all I'm saying is, if you're going to get an education, why not get an education learning about money, how money works, how to grow your money? See, the thing that we do with the BYOB movement, the Be Your Own Bank movement, we teach you how to make the money. We show you where the money is. We go into a $7 trillion industry every single day, and we take a little bit out based on the skill set that we're learning. $7 trillion a day moves through an industry, and there's more depending on if you're dealing with stocks. There's more if you're dealing with stock options. There's more if you're dealing with Forex, right? Forex is the one I'm talking about. $7.6 trillion a day is in an industry, and we just learn how to take out a little piece every day for ourselves. You ain't going to run out of that. People talk about, is it saturated? $7 trillion a day? Heck no, it ain't saturated, right? But my point is, you got to learn a skill set and so that you can do it for yourself. See, it's time that we get away from saying, I let my financial advisor do that, or I just leave my money in the bank. What I'm saying to people is, if your money is meant to create money babies, if your money is meant to multiply, if your money is meant to be duplicated, then why would you leave it in a bank where the bank decides, I'm going to be nice? Anybody listening, y'all know whether this is true for you or not. If your money is in a savings account and your bank gives you 3% a year, raise your hand. 3% a year on your money that's in your savings account. I'll wait, because ain't nobody going to raise their hand. So why would you have your money somewhere where it's sitting there, not growing? But what the bank does, because your money is sitting there, they put it with some more money and they take it somewhere every day and make it grow. So your bank is using your money to grow their money. And then they come back and say, we'll even lend you some money, but you got to pay us interest to get it. So your bank is trading the markets. Your bank is loaning money and getting interest. Your bank is in the real estate arena, but you saying, my money just in the bank account. I'm good. I just keep putting it there. So this month I got $2,000 in there, and tomorrow I got $2,000 in there. And next month I got $2,000 in there. And then eventually that $2,000 is going to turn into $1,998 because they're going to start taking fees because it's just sitting there. So eventually they start actually taking the money that's sitting there. Why not learn how to grow your money the same way the banks grow your money? That's what you got to ask yourself. If the banks are doing this for my money, why don't I learn how to do it, some of this for myself, right? And there's a lot of things that, people are real big on. Do it yourself. I see people all the time going to Home Depot and they buying the wood and they buying the shingles and they buying the concrete and they buying a whole lot of stuff. I'm just telling you right now, if you can do it yourself on a house, and if you can do it yourself on redoing a room, and if you can do it yourself in all these areas, why not do it yourself to learn about your finances so that you never have yourself in a pickle again like we were 3 years ago when this thing called a pandemic hit, and you were like, oh my God, what am I going to do if the job don't keep us after this thing hit? Or what happened because I can't leave the house? Eventually they started to downsize as time went on. And I can't get a raise whenever I want to, because guess what? I'm always at the mercy of whether it's time for them to give a raise. It's time for me to get an increase. Think about that. So I talked about 3%, what your savings account does. Some people wait all year, depending on where you live, but y'all know what I'm talking about, for a cost of living raise, which again is about what? 3%. I worked for the state of Florida for 12 years. I worked for 25 years. For a 12-year stretch, the state did not give a cost of living raise. But every single thing around us was going up more than that 3% they would have gave us anyway. Gas was going up. Bread was going up. Eggs were going up. Clothes were going up. My kids' tuition was going up. Everything around me was going up except for my income, my salary, my household salary. And I'm saying that was for a whole lot of people. I'm just telling you my story, keeping it real with you. So my point is, if everything around you is going up expenses wise, what are you doing to raise your income? What are you doing to raise your financial intellect? What are you doing to put yourself in a situation where you don't get trapped in to the cycle of not just mediocrity, the cycle that keeps you down? So you got to start taking responsibility. But the only way you can take responsibility is you got to understand, guess what? My bank account is limp because guess what? I ain't doing nothing to get it up. My bank account is limp because I ain't doing nothing to get it up. So what do you have to do? You have to put yourself in a situation where we don't just have residual linear income. We got to have a way that we're making money outside of always trading time for money. That's number one. Number two, you got to have a way where you're bringing in some residual income. Do something one time and get paid for it over and over and over again. I'm suggesting what you do is come into our community, get this information that you need for yourself in the same way that you would share a Cash App for $5 or a Uber for $5 or the DirecTV account for $10. All these things that you normally share with other people, why not share people's access to information? You ain't got to know nothing about the stuff that I'm talking about personally. You ain't got to deal with your friends on it. You just saying, hey, you need to check this out. Because all of y'all are always not doing or doing things because on who got the money. What time do you and your girlfriends do the girls trip? Well, Sheila can't go right now because Sheila can't go because Sheila didn't have the money right now and her son was graduating, so she couldn't go this year because her son was graduating. We always got these things, right? Always had these circumstances that keep us. So that's what I'm saying. We can't act like the money thing ain't important because the money thing, it happens all the time. That's what kind of gets me. People kind of kill me with, man, you talk about money a lot. I'm saying because everybody I'm around talk about money a lot. At Sunday, at church, they talk about the money. They talk about your tithes and they talk about your offering. So they talk about money. When you go to the alumni event and they say, hey, we need to do this, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? They're trying to get some money. When they talking about being a donor for the athletic program, guess what? They talking about money. In order for us to compete, in order for us to be one of the best, in order for us to beat everybody else, guess what? We got to have more money. Everybody talking about money. We got to get out of this thing where it's a bad thing to talk about. That's why we're not succeeding at it. That's why everybody can tell you how many points LeBron scores. That's how everybody can tell you whether they think he better than Michael Jordan or Michael Jordan better than him. That's how everybody can tell you what's happening on all these talk shows. You know why? Because they look at that stuff all the time. So the stuff that we look at, we talk about. So all I'm saying is, why not understand that we got to get our finances in order and we got to quit being ashamed to talk about it. We got to quit being ashamed to say, you know what? My stuff is mucked up. My situation is jacked up. What can I do better? And it's not always just trying to go out and find a next job, because guess what? The next job going to take more of your time. And now guess what? You're missing a recital. You're missing the baseball game. You're missing the special event sometimes, because now when you go to that new space, guess what? That takes more time. And I think that the one thing that people learned during the pandemic more than anything else is that time was more important. Their loved ones were more important. People did not know whether somebody was going to get this virus and it could take a relative out just like that. So people were trying to figure out, after a while we were with each other. You were like, okay, I got to go see people because I got to see people because I don't know if it's going to be the last time I see them. So my point is, I know how important it is to be around other people, be around your loved ones, be around the people that you care about, because we just proved that over the last 3 years, that means something to people. Who do I spend time with? How long do I spend time with those people? What can I do for those people? And what I'm saying is, in this digital era, in this space, I just think about how my granddad made money. He was a steel worker in Chicago, Illinois. Worked at the steel mill, worked his butt off. 15 kids born. 12 of them lived for a very long time. 12 of them. And this man, every time he could get a shift, he got that shift. He did what he had to do to provide. So I'm saying if my granddad was going just like yours, I'm saying you might be from New Orleans, your dad worked on a harbor, you might be from Detroit, your dad worked at the plant. What I'm saying is if those guys got up every day no matter what the weather was, no matter what the experience was, no matter what those things were, if people were doing that every single day, putting that time in the steel mills and factories or whatever, you telling me that we can't get up and get in front of a computer, learn some information, get educated in the comfort of our own home so that we can do what? Give to our kids? See, the thing about it is most of us are making 3 or 4 times more than our grandparents made, but you can't tell it. Shoot, my granddaddy was almost like what's that movie Soul Food, when at the end of the show when they found that suitcase, right, and it opened up and the fan was blowing and the money was going everywhere. Most old school folks have larger savings account than people that we know right now who make 4 times or 5 times more than their grandparents did. Tell me I'm lying. So my point is, and you, for a friend, you're gonna say, "Well, stuff costs more." Nah, I ain't had no 12 kids. I got 3. So I did a fourth of what he did in the bedroom. But I'm telling you, that ain't got nothing to do with him being a better saver, him being a better manager of his money, and all of those things. So what I'm saying is we don't have an excuse in this time to not do the things that we need to do to be more financially astute. But you got to know what the problem is first. How you making your money is the first thing, the first hurdle you got to get past, because you're making money in a linear income space. You keep trading time for money, and eventually you're going to run out of time, which means you're going to run out of money. I don't care how much you make. Because, here's the deal. People who make a lot of money, and they'll tell you this actually. So it's not even like I'm not even talking down to people who make money, because if you make a lot of money, you can attest to this. If your family members know that you make a lot of money, guess what? We can call cousin. We can call Susan. We can call John. Because guess what? You feel like, well, John can't tell me he ain't got it. Because John and Susan, when they making them big salaries, they carrying a whole lot more people. Just naturally. People are good-hearted. People are, people are good stewards, but people are also good-hearted. So my point is, somebody who doesn't make a lot of money, they don't necessarily always have a whole lot saved up, because they typically have a lot more things they're taking care of. People who make $100,000 live in $100,000 houses, right? It's type houses, not $100,000, price, but you know what I mean. People, they drive certain kind of cars. Their kids go to certain kind of schools. Their kids got certain kind of equipment for the activities that they participate in, right? So everybody has a range. That's why I'm telling you, it's how you're making your money that's causing a problem, because no matter how much you make, you're limited by the time, but you also have a lot of obligations obligations, I would say, that kind of go along with that, right? The second thing is residual income. I'm telling you to come into the BYOB Connection community, BYOBconnection.com. I'm telling you to come into it's free. You can look that up, and you ain't got to ever tell me you were there. You ain't ever got to tell me you were there, because you literally can go and see you can see a meeting in there, and you can sign up in there, and you ain't never got to call Marvin Green again. Ever. Never, ever. Forever, ever. Forever, ever. You ain't never got to tell me. All I want to do is make sure, it's like I'm obligated to do 2 things right now. 3 things. Make sure that people I please God by serving people. That's my number 1 obligation in life right now. I want to be able to please God by serving people. I want to be a good husband, and I want to be a great dad. Both. I want to be great at both. It's hard to be great husband after 28 years, but I want to be I want to be a great husband and a great dad. I want to please God. I want to be a great family man. I want to be a great son. I want to be a great brother as well, right? But I also want to educate people on 2 things. That's why I say talking green with green. Talking green with green is a mentality, right? Talking Green with Green is about the green that we should have in our life, and not just money green. It's about the green that we need to have in our body, being healthier. It's about the ways in which we create a better financial situation for ourselves. So Talking Green with Green is so much more than that. I want to help people with their health. I'm going on a health journey as we speak right now, and I'm talking about a health journey for the rest of my life. Not just trying to do something just for a little while. I want to be cognizant of what I'm doing with my body, from here on out, because I want to see my kids, and I want to be around for my kids for a long time, but I also want to be around for my grandkids. And then last but not least, I want to make sure that people have access to financial information that can help better their lives. So whatever that support is that you need, I want you to say, you know what, Coach Green, Talking Green, I've always been a coach. I've always been a winner. I've always been a person that once I understand something, I want to be able to share it and teach it as well. So I'm saying to you, as a Hall of Fame coach, I'm a Hall of Fame coach, Hall of Fame golf coach, Hall of Fame flag football coach. I've won championships. I want to win more championships with people as I go into this next, and my wife's like to say, 30 to 35 summers of my life. 30 to 35. I got 35 more summers. I'm going to say 30. I'm claiming 35. That's at least 88 years old. I'm claiming 35 more summers of my life. I want to be able to help more people spiritually, financially, and health-wise, right? Physically as well. Physically, financially as well. Spiritually, physically, and financially. That's a major thing. Information I know, share it. I just left Homecoming 2 weeks ago, and to me, I love it. I love to see my friends. I love to see the friends come back, and I know they're having a good time. I know it's taking them back 30 years. I know it's making them remember the days when we didn't have a care in the world. But there's a lot of people that's in that space that's doing two things, doing very well, and some that are struggling. And they come together and they hug and they love on each other, but nobody ever shares information that could possibly impact and change each other's lives. I know we don't do it to the magnitude that we should do it. That's the one thing when you start talking about why you went to a college university, why you were around the people that you were around, why you did the things you do. Guess what? You should be putting yourself in a situation where you're sharing information. You're not scared to say what's happening wrong. You're not be able to say to a friend, hey, I could use your help. We don't do that enough. And what I'm saying is, if your bank account got ED, you got to find a way to get it up. You need the blue pill. This is the blue pill. BYOBconnection.com. That's your blue pill. Let's get them finances up. Let's get that thing up. Understand you need something other than linear income. You need a stream of residual income, and you need to learn how to grow your passive income. And you can do that in this community. You can be your own bank, and you really can change your life forever with this information. So I appreciate y'all being here. I like to always go out how I came in. So what I'm going to do is go out how I came in, and I want y'all to hear it, baby. BYOB, baby. Hey, I appreciate y'all being here. Whoever's here, I can't see who's here. I'll be back tomorrow at 12 o'clock. I won't be as long. I look pretty cool, didn't I? Hey, y'all be good. You can be your own bank. Come on into the community, BYOBconnection.com. Register for our next webinar. and find out how you can be your own bank.